Hey guys, it's Mr. Stark. So I want to show you the working forward reverse circuit. What I had to do was, because they're normally open push buttons, I use the start button for the forward. I'm using this stop button. And I use this other start button for the reverse. So my forward is down here and my reverse is up here. I have these wires just kind of, normally I'd have them all tight and contained and they'd all be sitting on top of each other perfectly terminated. But for this video, I thought it was more appropriate to show the separation of the wires so that if you wanted to, you could trace them out point to point. So, like I said before, if I put this cover on, I've got two start buttons. I'm going to plug this in over here. This is a 24 volt coil, so I'm leaving over here on my 24 volt end to feed the stop. The stop button feeds the forward, and what you have is a forward button, and watch the contactor pull in. So we know that this contactor is indeed pulled in. You can see it's pulled in. And if I hit the reverse button without hitting the stop, nothing happens. There's your interlock. But I have to hit the stop to be able to hit the reverse. Now the reverse coil is pulled in. As you can see, I'll hit stop again. I'll hit the reverse. So that one's actually interlocked as well. And it won't hit the reverse. You can't hit forward while you're in reverse. So the basic function works. Now, if you wanted to trace this out wire by wire, I have to unplug it. Let's get this thing unplugged. And if we were to go point to point, which is really what we're up against, is trying to wire this stuff, the first wire that comes from my source is pulled. That's this wire, and it comes into the first screw. From the second screw of the stop, there's a jumper to the reverse button first screw. You can see that there. That's this wire right here going into there. But there's another wire that comes off that same screw into the common side of the normally open forward. So we're going to represent that wire with this brown wire that comes off of here. It comes off that same screw, and you can see the brown comes all the way over into the normally closed, the normally open. You can see it right there, the normally open on the forward block. So that's that wire, which is really this. But I've got another wire coming out of this normally open same screw to the first screw of my reverse button. That's this other brown right here. That comes around and it comes into the first screw of the reverse button. It's brown wire, first screw, reverse button. So that wire is done. We've got one more wire coming out of that same screw into the top of the normally open reverse contactor. Same screw, the blue one, the blue wire comes out, comes all the way over into the top of here's my reverse block, here's my normally open. So I'm coming into the reverse contactor, normally open. That's that wire. And if we continue on, we come off the other side of the open contact back to the second screw of the reverse. So we come off the other side of the normally open, reverse block. So here we are. That's a red wire. That red wire comes back over into the second screw of my reverse button. There we go. But we still have another wire coming out of that same screw to one side of the normally closed on the forward contactor. That's the other red wire, and you'll see it coming down and it comes around. Oh, let me get over here. It comes down and around and here. So now that's done. And you can kind of see how this could be point to point. And the best method of showing you really in lab is being able to cross off your wires as you go. we can do this all day, but inevitably, I guess the best way of looking at it is, you know, I want you to wire stuff neat in the lab, but following this point to point is something that's, you know, it's kind of difficult to do in the sense that I have to separate the wires so that you can see what's coming out. If you see how I came off of the A2, because really these forward, this is actually A1, this is actually A2. Remember, we went over that in another video. And there's numbers that are associated with these contacts as well. If you look way down in there, you can see on top of normally closed, there's a 21, and the other side of that normally closed is 22. So you could put those numbers on those contacts if you wanted. The normally closed 21 and 22. I'll help you lay out your drawings when we get in the lab, and that's sometimes helpful for guys because they don't know what side to come into because the contacts are just, you know, screws to these, you guys in the beginning. So that's the working forward reverse circuit. You will have a picture of this in your lab pictures, and you can, hopefully by this time you're able to wire this point to point. Hopefully that helps. See you at the next video.